Hello there friends, Ubisoft just held their E3 2021 Ubisoft Forward, and it wasn't very good. In fact, it was pretty calamitously bad. It was among the worst E3 showcases I've seen in quite a long time. I don't know, there are years where major publishers should just go, we don't have anything. Or at the very least, we don't have enough for an E3 press conference, or in this case, an E3 digital event. And instead of just being like, look at the trailer we have for this movie that's coming out, they should just be like, all right, we're gonna have this summer of marketing where we have some nice updates about games people might be looking forward to, but it's not enough for like a big hype press conference. It's not enough for this big presentation that will get people excited about everything Ubisoft coming up and all the Ubisoft games. That wasn't this. Because like, so much of this was just trailers for games we already know about, including DLC, including old games coming back, but not the old games coming back you want to come back. And one of its big reveals accidentally got spoiled by Nintendo this morning, so that doesn't help. But it's just one of those E3 press conferences where you're just like, why? Why did you do it? Just be like, we're taking the year off. And I get E3 is a super big marketing beat. It's a huge, important time where major publishers know that there's eyeballs, so they feel like they can't sit it out. But you're just going to get people going like, that was a really terrible thing and I'm not interested in any of this stuff. What did you do that for? You do more damage than you do good. I don't know, because it's not like the things they actually know. Some of the things they showed were bad. For the most part, it's nothing that will excite you. It's nothing that's like, oh, that's a thing. And fair enough, it's partially their own fault, because they did the big reveals of games like Beyond Good and Evil 2 far before their time, or Skull and Bones, which has been stuck in development purgatory for as long as I've been alive, it feels like. So part of not having something to show is self-inflicted. It's not an Assassin's Creed year, so you don't have that. You already did the big Far Cry blowout a month ago, so the new Far Cry trailer doesn't feel particularly exciting. And then you just get the rest. I usually do the top 5 things I was interested in coming out of these press conferences, but I don't think there was 5 things in this press conference I was interested in, so I'll just do a more traditional recap. Aw, I feel bad. Because, like, Ubisoft are easy to dunk on for many reasons, a ton of them super valid, and really serious, and then a ton of them being like, there's open world designs the same in all their games, and like, they make some good games, but this was not Ubisoft's year. As I realized, I've been going back and forth on the pronunciation of Ubisoft or Ubisoft throughout this entire thing so far, so it depends which way it comes out of my mouth. I'm sorry. Rainbow Six Quarantine is no longer Rainbow Six Quarantine, it's Extraction now. I wonder why. Not like we've been living in a global pandemic. That looks fine. They dedicated like 15 minutes to it, and I'm sure people that are excited for that are excited for it, but 15 minutes worth? Not so much. It's coming out September 26th. Rocksmith is making a comeback. You can learn how to play the guitar. I don't want to, but if you want to, it's there. Rocksmith Plus. The beta, I think, launched today. There was a trailer for Riders Republic, which I think actually the game looks quite good. It looks like it's a cool, like, extreme sports game where you're flying downhill on bikes and snowboards. Can't really go particularly wrong with that. But the attitude of this game, it's just like, oh, it's totally jubilee rad to go downhill on your extreme motorbike, isn't it? Yeah, heck yeah. We're real edgy, but not like broody or angry or angsty edgy. It's more like that totally rad and cool edgy that all the cool people liked in the 90s. It's that very Ubisoft sense of edginess that I actually quite enjoy, and you can really put your finger on, and it's the most like inorganic, inauthentic thing you'll ever hear in your life. But Riders Republic actually looks like a pretty cool game. Hopefully that turns out well. September 2nd, that's coming out. There was a bunch of updates for their live games, like the Turtles are coming to Brawlhalla, and cross-play and cross-progression is coming to Rainbow Six Siege, which I'm not sure is that a thing people want in Siege, but if it is, hey, that Siege community is thriving. So, Just Dance 2022, of course, has a Todrick Hall song. I don't know who Todrick Hall is. Though to be fair, I am like the last arbitrator of popular music and knowing who that person should be, so that's on me. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is getting another update for the Siege of Paris. That's its second major DLC after the Irish DLC came out. They've also announced that they're supporting the game for a second year, which is very un-Assassin's Creed. Usually it's supported for a year and dropped, mostly because the new one comes out. Does that suggest there won't be a new one next year? Stay tuned. Far Cry had another trailer with Giancarlo Esposito. Also announced the DLC, which... Even the way it was framed in the trailer, it's like, oh, and now we have the very exciting chance to finally talk about the DLC and the season pass. I'm like, the game's not out yet, and you're telling me that you're very excited about what more you can sell me? Ugh. Ubisoft rubbed me the wrong way this year. Clearly everything's getting under my nerves. You can play as the villains in the DLC, the old villains from the games you preferred, probably. They actually drove that home a couple times. It's like, oh, the Far Cry series, famous for its villains. Obviously setting up so that they can sell you the villains again in DLC. Mario Cross Rabbids Sparks of Hope was finally revealed. It actually looks really cool. It's set in space. Rosalina's there, or well, Rabbid Rosalina's there. We haven't seen regular Rosalina yet. There's this weird merger of rabbits and Lumas that feels like a thing that shouldn't exist. But the gameplay looked cool. It looked like more like open movement, because the first game was very much your standard tactical on a grid strategy RPG, as opposed to this, which there seems to be more like free roaming movement. So maybe like there's a 3-second timer or something that you can move freely around the map before you stop and play something like that. Who knows? We only showed a brief glimpse of it so far, but the first game is great and extraordinarily pretty, and I'm very much excited for this one. I never would have thought that I would have said I'm excited for the Mario and Rabbids game, or just in general Rabbids games. But they have single-handedly redeemed Rabbids with Mario and Rabbids. Well done, Ubisoft. See, every time it's different. It's Ubisoft or Ubisoft. Who knows? I don't know which one I'm going to say. It depends what my mouth does. That's going 2022 to Switch. And then their big one more thing, their final drop was not Splinter Cell. Much to the disappointment of the entire world, Splinter Cell was once again nowhere to be seen, except maybe in a sizzle reel of Sam Fisher coming to one of these games. They should bring Sam Fisher to Mario and Rabbids, which I think they did. I think there was like Sam Fisher goggles in Mario and Rabbids. Just Dance. They should put Sam Fisher in Just Dance. Or they should put Sam Fisher in the final game they announced. Or actually, not quite announced. It's been announced for a while. They showed it for the first time. Their big Avatar game. They're finally releasing an Avatar game. Who wants an Avatar game? Who knows? But they're making one. It's coming from the team behind the Division at Massive. Frontiers of Pandora coming 2022. They didn't really show you much of it. It's probably an open world game. Who knows though? It's an Ubisoft game. Of course it's an open world game. That was their big one more thing. Avatar is such a strange thing, isn't it? As the film that, as of this year, it re-overtook Avengers Endgame as the most successful film of all time, and yet it has no cultural legacy whatsoever. It's so strange that this huge thing, this giant phenomenon that sparked this like psychological disorder where people wanted to live with the blue people in the world of Pandora, and Earth wasn't good enough for them anymore. Now 10 years later, 10 years removed from that original release, it has no cultural footprint at all. And obviously a sequel's coming out. Maybe. It's been in development for as long as, again, similar to Skull and Bones, I've been alive. Yeah, there's an Avatar game coming next year. It's a pretty solid one more thing, but it's obviously, it's not Splinter Cell. People really want Splinter Cell. Ubisoft. It was a bad year. It was a really bad year. They kind of redeemed it at the end, because at least Mario and Rabbids and Avatar are kind of like interesting reveals. They're like things that feel E3 level, that you're like, oh, you know, Mario and Rabbids, that was a cool game 4 years ago or whatever it was. I'm really excited for the next one. Or Avatar, it's like, I have no interest in Avatar, but the idea of an Avatar open world game at least sounds compelling enough for you to do your one more thing at E3. Other than that, it's just a bunch of updates the game's already announced, none of which, for me at least, are particularly interesting, except maybe Riders Republic, and then a bunch of updates on live service games, and that's it. That's all Ubisoft brought to E3. What a shame. Jeff Keighley, clearly still #1 thumbs up best E3 showcase this year so far. Thank you so much for watching. I will be doing Nintendo and Microsoft Bethesda at the very least, maybe Square as well. We'll see how Square does. So come back for those when they air. If you'd like to hear my thoughts on those, hit subscribe. On your left, my recap of Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest. On your right, my retrospective review of Super Mario Galaxy 2. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.